I had no reason to suspect anything. That's the part that continues to haunt me. There were no heated arguments, no cold indifference, no telltale lipstick smudges, no overly dramatic signs. Madison never snuck out in the dead of night, never returned home carrying the scent of another man's cologne. On the surface, everything was as it had always been. And yet, something about the normalcy started to feel off. It began with the smallest things. A brief pause before she answered my questions, a subtle shift in her tone, as if she were forcing a brightness that wasn't quite real. She started spending more time out with friends, but she had always been social, so I convinced myself it was nothing. Then came the habit of showering the moment she stepped through the door. She said it was because of the summer heat. New clothes appeared in her wardrobe, justified by a simple desire to feel good about herself. None of these things on their own seemed suspicious, but together they formed an uneasy puzzle, one where the pieces didn't seem to fit. I did my best to brush it off. I told myself I was overthinking, that it was my own insecurities at play. I was ready to let it go until last Wednesday. She was in the kitchen, humming to herself while making a cup of tea. I walked in, pressed a kiss to her cheek, and that's when I saw it. Her phone was on the counter, the screen lighting up at the exact moment I glanced in its direction. The message appeared as clear as day. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. It felt like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. For a moment, my mind went blank, my ears ringing. My heartbeat pounded so hard I was sure she could hear it. Then, in a single, fluid motion, she grabbed the phone and pressed the power button, turning the screen dark. When she looked back at me, she smiled, casual, effortless, as if nothing had happened. I wanted to believe I had imagined it. That I had misread the words. That it was from a friend, that it wasn't what it seemed. But deep down I knew. I knew. I didn't confront her. I forced a nod, pretended everything was normal, and left the kitchen. My legs carried me to the bedroom, where I sank onto the bed, staring into empty space. But the words wouldn't stop replaying in my head, like a neon sign flashing in the dark. I had two options. I could confront her immediately, demand the truth, and risk being fed more lies. Or I could get undeniable proof. Something irrefutable. That's how I ended up ordering a tiny motion-activated camera that very night. Even as I clicked the purchase button, I told myself this was insane, that I was crossing a line. But some part of me had already shattered. I had to know. The next day, I set it up small, discreet, perfectly positioned on the bookshelf in our bedroom. The angle was just right. That evening, I told Madison I'd be working late. I kissed her goodbye as if nothing was amiss, got in my car, drove a few blocks away, and parked. Then I waited. I didn't know what to expect. Maybe deep down, I hoped I was wrong. That I'd return home to an empty room, feel like a fool forever doubting her, and laugh about it later. Instead, when I finally checked the footage that night, my entire world collapsed. Sitting there, phone in hand, my breath turned shallow, my fingers ice cold. The video played, but my mind resisted it, as if refusing to accept reality. I felt detached, as though I were watching someone else's nightmare unfold. At first, the room was empty. Our neatly made bed sat undisturbed, the same one we had shared for years, the sheets I had washed just days ago, the pillows we had chosen together. Everything was still. Quiet. Then the door opened. Madison stepped in first. My wife. She was smiling, twisting a strand of hair around her finger, her body language both familiar and entirely foreign in this moment. And then he followed. A man. Tall, dark-haired, confident in a way that made my stomach churn. This wasn't some nervous fling. He didn't hesitate at the threshold, didn't act as if he were sneaking around. He walked into my home like he belonged there. She turned to him, laughing at something he said, and the sound hit me harder than any physical blow. It wasn't the laughter of someone who had made a mistake. It wasn't anxious or filled with guilt. It was warm. Unburdened. The kind of laugh you share when you're exactly where you want to be. My stomach twisted painfully. I felt physically ill. She reached for him first. Hands on his shoulders, her face tilting up toward his. There was no hesitation. No uncertainty. My heart pounded, my chest tightening as though something heavy had settled inside it. I needed to stop watching. I needed to look away. But I couldn't. For exactly 14 seconds, I stayed frozen, staring at the screen, watching my life unravel. Then something inside me snapped. My vision blurred with fury, my pulse thundered in my ears. Before I even realized what I was doing, my hand lashed out, sending my phone flying across the room. It struck the wall with a sharp crack before clattering to the floor. Silence. My breath came in harsh, uneven gasps. My fingers curled into fists, nails biting into my palms. My entire body trembled, not with sorrow. Not yet. That would come later. Right now, all I felt was raw, blinding rage. I pushed myself to my feet so abruptly that my chair nearly toppled over. My mind screamed at me, "Go. Get in the car. Drive home. Catch them." A surge of fury urged me to tear everything apart, to destroy every reminder of what I had just witnessed. But something held me back. I forced air into my lungs, my chest tight, my jaw clenched so hard it ached. I needed to think. If I stormed in there now, what would happen? Would she cry and beg for forgiveness? Would she deny everything outright? Or would she mock me, laughing in my face? None of that was enough. I needed more. My hands trembled as I reached for my phone, still lying on the floor. The screen was shattered, cracks spiderwebbing across the glass, but the video remained. As much as it made my skin crawl, I forced myself to watch it again. Not just to torture myself, but to analyze every detail. And then I saw it. Madison's phone was carelessly tossed onto the nightstand, its screen still on. A text preview flashed briefly, just enough for me to make out the words. I squinted, my anger sharpening into something far more dangerous. The message wasn't from him. It was from someone else, someone I knew. And in that instant, everything became so much worse. Her sister. The name on the screen made my thoughts grind to a halt. Rachel, my own sister-in-law. The message was clear as day. Let me know when he leaves. I don't want to run into him. My breath caught in my throat. The fury burning inside me twisted into something colder, something more calculated. This wasn't just an affair. This wasn't just Madison betraying me with some random guy. Rachel knew, the woman who had shared meals with me at family dinners, laughed at my jokes, and called me brother, had been actively helping Madison sneak around. I stared at the message, the damning little preview that changed everything. This wasn't a one-time thing. This had been going on for a while. They had a system. I inhaled sharply, my teeth clenching so hard my jaw throbbed. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. I wasn't just furious. I felt hunted, like I had been led blindly through a maze while they laughed behind my back. I needed more. The footage wasn't enough. This single message wasn't enough. I needed to know exactly how deep this went. Forcing myself to sit back down, my body thrumming with adrenaline, I moved fast. My fingers navigated the phone's cracked screen without hesitation. Madison's iCloud. I had set it up for her years ago. She never changed the password. One tap, another, and just like that, her messages were mine to read. Conversation threads flooded the screen. My breaths came in sharp gasps as my eyes darted over the names. I went straight to Rachel. What I saw made my blood turn ice cold. Rachel, he's leaving now. You have about 2 hours. Let me know if you need me to cover for you. Madison, you're the best, sis. I owe you. Rachel, just don't be careless about it. Make sure you shower before he gets home this time. Before he gets home this time. My teeth ground together, the pressure enough to send pain shooting through my skull. This wasn't some single moment of weakness. This wasn't a mistake. They had a routine, a schedule, a carefully planned deception. And Rachel, her own sister, was helping her pull it off. I scrolled further, my heart pounding. Rachel, are you seeing him tonight? Or someone else? Madison, him. The other one is busy. Besides, I kind of like this one. He's fun. The other one. The words blurred in my vision. There wasn't just one man. There were others. My fingers curled into fists, nails digging into my palms as the full weight of the truth crashed over me. Everything I thought I knew about my wife, about my marriage, was crumbling right in front of me. I kept scrolling, my eyes scanning over messages that made my stomach twist. Madison mocking me, laughing at how easy it was to lie, complaining about me to Rachel, calling me needy whenever I sought affection. And Rachel, she encouraged it. She reassured Madison that I would never find out, that I was too trusting. I leaned back in my chair, my breath shuddering out of me. My whole body felt like it was unraveling. I was drowning, suffocating in a reality I never saw coming. But I wasn't going to act on impulse. Not yet. I wasn't going to march into that house and start shouting. That would be too easy. And Madison? She didn't deserve easy. No, she was going to get exactly what she deserved. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. My mind was a storm of anger, humiliation, and betrayal, twisting and colliding so violently that thinking straight was impossible. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw her. Not just with him, but with them, the faceless others, the men I didn't even know about yet. She had turned our home into a playground for her lies. And Rachel, someone I had trusted, had been right there, making sure she got away with it. I needed a plan. Forcing myself to take slow, deliberate breaths, I pushed past the fury clouding my judgment. If I confronted her now, how would it play out? She'd cry, deny it, make excuses. Maybe she'd even try to turn it on me. How dare you invade my privacy? She'd twist the truth, manipulate the situation until I was left questioning myself. No. I had to be smarter. In the dimly lit room, the glow of my phone screen was the only source of illumination as I began my meticulous task. I started gathering evidence, screenshots, videos, and every single message exchanged between Madison and Rachel. Each smug text mocking my supposed cluelessness, every moment Madison plotted to sneak around, and every unsettling message from men I had never even heard of, all of it was saved. By the time the first light of dawn crept through the window, I had compiled everything I needed. Now it was time to put it to use. The first step was clearing my schedule. I called into work, claiming I was sick. My boss barely questioned it. After all, I never took sick days, never missed a shift. He probably assumed I had the flu. If only that were the case. Instead, I spent my morning executing the first stage of my plan. To ensure that no amount of manipulation could erase the truth, I backed up all the evidence across multiple platforms. My laptop, a USB drive, and a cloud storage account all held copies. Madison would find no way to twist or talk her way out of this. Then I made two important calls, one to my lawyer and another to someone who deserved the truth just as much as I did. That call was to Rachel's fiancé, Eric. Yes, Rachel had been engaged for the past year, and up until today he probably believed he was marrying a faithful, honest woman. I wondered if he had the slightest idea that his fiancée had been actively covering up her sister's betrayals. That she was just as complicit. I dialed his number and waited. After 2 rings, he picked up. "Hey, man," he greeted, his voice carrying a hint of confusion. "Everything okay?" I let out a slow breath. "Not really. But I think you deserve to know something." A pause, then a cautious reply. "What are you talking about?" "Rachel," I stated firmly. "I have proof she's been lying to you. She's been covering for Madison, helping her cheat. She's known for months, maybe longer." Another silence followed. Then, a short, humorless laugh. "You're joking." "I'm not." My fingers hovered over my laptop. I have messages, screenshots, conversations between them, proving how Rachel helped Madison deceive me. She played an active role in making sure I never found out. And if I were in your position, I'd want to know. I could hear his breathing shift, shallower, more controlled. "Send me everything," he finally said, his voice stripped of emotion. Without hesitation, I did. 2 minutes later, I received a text. "Thank you. I'm handling this today." Good. That was one piece of the plan in motion. Now it was time for the next. I grabbed my keys, feeling my pulse quicken with adrenaline. One last stop remained before I returned home. If Madison thought she could shatter our marriage and walk away unscathed, she was about to realize just how mistaken she was. The drive was silent, no music, no distractions, just me and the weight of what I was about to do. Every muscle in my body felt taut, charged with energy, but I wasn't about to lose control. Not yet. That moment would come soon enough. I pulled into the parking lot of Madison's office, a sleek, modern marketing firm in the heart of the city. The kind of place where image was everything, where reputations were meticulously maintained. Today, I was going to dismantle hers. Before stepping out, I took a moment to scroll through the messages once more. Every smug remark, every deception, every instance where Madison and Rachel treated me as nothing more than a fool. One text in particular seared into my mind. "God, he's so predictable. If he ever found out, I could probably cry for 10 minutes and he'd apologize to me. LMAO. My jaw clenched so hard it ached. Not this time. I got out of the car with unwavering determination. The plan was already mapped out, consisting of 3 crucial steps. Step 1, destroy the illusion. As I entered the building, I moved with an air of confidence, as though I belonged there. The receptionist glanced up and greeted me politely, recognizing me from previous visits. "Good morning," she said. "Hey," I responded casually. Madison forgot something at home. "Mind if I run it up to her real quick?" She hesitated. "I can call up and—" "No need," I interrupted smoothly, flashing a reassuring smile. "She's expecting me." That was all it took. A small deception, insignificant compared to the countless lies Madison had told. I stepped into the elevator, riding it up to the 4th floor. As the doors opened, I strode into the open-concept office space. Rows of desks, the hum of fingers typing, muted phone conversations. It was the kind of environment where rumors traveled fast. Perfect. I spotted her instantly. Madison stood near the coffee machine, engaged in a light-hearted conversation with a coworker, her laughter echoing through the space. She appeared completely at ease, as if she had not a single worry in the world. That was about to change. "Madison?" I called, my voice slicing through the background noise. She turned toward me, her expression shifting ever so slightly. For a fraction of a second, her smile faltered. Then, just as quickly, she composed herself, slipping into her usual affectionate facade. "Hey, babe," she greeted, her voice warm but wary. "What are you doing here?" I didn't respond. Instead, I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a specific video, and pressed play. The footage. The one from the hidden camera in our bedroom. The volume was up, loud. Conversations ceased. Heads turned. Faces lifted from computer screens. Madison's reaction was almost instantaneous. The color drained from her face so quickly it was almost impressive. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. I simply stood there, watching as her entire world came crashing down around her. In a desperate move, she lunged for my phone, but I was quicker, stepping back with a calm voice. "Don't touch me." The office had gone eerily silent. All eyes were on us, her coworkers frozen in place, their wide eyes betraying their shock. Whispers spread like wildfire, the weight of the moment sinking in. Some had already pulled out their own phones, recording everything as the damning audio continued to play from mine. Madison's breath hitched as she hissed under her breath. "Is this some kind of twisted joke?" Her eyes darted around, finally realizing just how many people were watching. I tilted my head. "No joke, Maddie. Just making sure everyone knows exactly who you really are." Her breathing grew unsteady, her hands trembling. We should talk about this privately," she stammered. I let out a dry laugh. "Privately? You mean the way you and Rachel privately laughed about how stupid I was? Or the way you privately scheduled your secret meetings behind my back?" "No, Maddie. Privacy isn't something you get anymore." A murmur rippled through the office. Madison turned, seeking help, her desperate gaze locking onto her boss. But his expression was unreadable, his jaw tight like solid granite. "Mr. Dawson, Not here," her boss snapped, his tone leaving no room for argument. "My office. Now." I stepped aside, gesturing toward the hallway with exaggerated politeness. "After you, sweetheart." Her eyes darkened with pure hatred, but she had no choice. Step 1, complete. Step 2, that was already taking care of itself. My phone buzzed in my hand. A message from Eric. "She's trying to call me. I'm breaking up with her right now." A slow smile spread across my face. Step 3, that was the one Madison would never see coming. By the time she stormed into her boss's office, I was already gone. I had no interest in hearing whatever excuse she was about to spit out. It didn't matter. Nothing she said could erase what had just happened. Her reputation at work? Shattered. The pristine image she had cultivated? Destroyed. And her boss? Humiliated, knowing one of his senior employees had been foolish enough to get caught in a scandal this messy. But I wasn't finished. Not even close. Stepping outside, the crisp morning air hit me, cooling the fire that still burned inside. I inhaled deeply, steadying myself. One down. One more to go. Rachel. Sliding into my car, I gripped the wheel tightly as my phone buzzed again. Another message from Eric. "She just got home. She's screaming at me to be reasonable. I'm about to end this." I smirked. "Oh, Rachel. You really thought you'd walk away from this unscathed, didn't you?" I started the car and drove. 15 minutes later, I pulled up outside Rachel's apartment. I didn't bother knocking. I already knew the door was unlocked. Eric had texted, letting me know he was expecting me. Inside, chaos had already erupted. Rachel stood in the middle of the living room, her face flushed with anger, hands flying wildly as she yelled at Eric. He stood firm, arms crossed, his face cold and unreadable. At his feet, a half-packed suitcase sat, a clear sign of his decision. The second she spotted me, her expression twisted with rage. "You," she spat, her eyes burning. "This is your fault. You and your ridiculous paranoia. You just had to ruin everything." I let out a genuine laugh, the sheer hypocrisy of her words almost comical. "Me? I ruined everything? No, Rachel. That was all you. You and your sister." Her face tensed, but I pressed on. "You could have just minded your own business, but no. You had to get involved. You had to help Madison sneak around in my house. You had to lie straight to Eric's face, over and over. And now that the truth is out, you're angry at me." Rachel spun toward Eric, desperation creeping into her voice. "Babe, you're really going to believe him? He's just bitter. He's twisting things, making them sound worse than they are." Eric's jaw tightened. His voice was even, but the weight of his words was crushing. "I read your messages, Rachel. Your words. Make sure you shower before he gets home this time. Are you seeing him tonight, or someone else?" His eyes were sharp as he looked at her. "You didn't just cover for Madison. You enjoyed it." Rachel flinched but wasn't ready to give up. "Oh, come on, Eric. You're really going to throw everything away over some messages? I wasn't the one cheating." Eric exhaled sharply, shaking his head. "No. You just helped. You encouraged it. Lied to me, to him, to everyone." He grabbed his suitcase and zipped it up in one swift motion. "I don't trust you anymore. And I don't marry people I don't trust." Rachel's face crumpled in panic. "You don't mean that. You're just upset. We can talk about this. We can fix it." "No," his voice was final. "We can't." He turned to me, giving a firm nod. "Thanks for telling me the truth, man." I nodded back. "You deserve to know." Rachel stood in stunned silence as Eric walked past her and out the door without looking back. The moment it shut behind him, something inside her snapped. "You smug little, Before she could finish, she lunged at me, shoving me hard in the chest. "Are you happy now?" she screamed, her voice shaking with fury. "You just couldn't let it go, could you? You had to destroy everything." I barely moved. Everything was already destroyed, Rachel. I made sure that everyone saw the destruction left in the wake of her actions. Her breaths came in sharp, uneven bursts, her fists clenched tightly at her sides. "Madison is going to hate you for this," she said, her voice trembling. A slow smile crept across my face. "Oh, I'm counting on it." Without another word, I turned and walked away, leaving her standing amidst the wreckage of her own betrayal. 2 lives had already crumbled, 1 more remained. I didn't head straight home. Fear wasn't what held me back. I wanted to see Madison, to witness the exact moment when reality crashed down on her, when she truly grasped that she had lost everything. But there was one final piece of the puzzle I needed to secure before I faced her. My car took me to the bank. Madison and I had shared a joint account, had being the key word. Sitting across from a banker, I ensured that by the time I walked out, my financial ties to her were severed. My personal account now stood completely separate. My direct deposits were redirected, and the emergency savings I had carefully built over the years was now locked under my sole control. Madison, of course, still had her own funds, but she would never again have access to mine. With that settled, I moved on to the next step, the house. Though we were only renting, the lease was in my name. I had been the one to sign the paperwork, the one making the payments. Madison had never concerned herself with the details. She likely had no idea when the lease was even due for renewal. I made my way to the leasing office and approached the receptionist. "How soon can I remove a tenant from the lease?" She looked up, surprised. "It depends. Has there been a violation?" I simply smiled and pulled up the security footage from our bedroom on my phone. "You tell me." Within minutes, I had all the documents I needed. The final move had been made. Now it was time to go home. As I pulled into the driveway, I took a moment to stare at the house, our house. This was where I had built a life, a place where I had laughed, argued, celebrated, and trusted. And yet all that time, Madison had been destroying it behind my back. I stepped inside. She was waiting for me. Perched on the couch in her office clothes, her hands twisted together in her lap, she looked pale, shaken. It was clear she had been crying, but I wasn't in the mood for sympathy. The second she saw me, she bolted upright. "We need to talk." I closed the door behind me. "Oh, we do." Her gaze searched my face, desperate for any sign of weakness, hesitation, anything she could latch onto. I gave her nothing. I don't even know where to start," she whispered. Start with an apology, I said, my voice flat and unforgiving. She winced. I am sorry. I know I messed up, but A cold, hollow laugh escaped me. You messed up when you forgot to grab milk from the store. This wasn't a mistake, Madison. This was a choice. You lied. You betrayed me. You turned me into a joke. Her lip trembled. I never meant to hurt you. My jaw clenched. Then why did you? She hesitated for just a fraction of a second. Then, with a deep breath, she straightened her posture, and in that moment, I saw it, the shift. The exact second she realized that tears wouldn't work, so she changed tactics. You were never around, she said, her voice sharpening. You were always working, always tired. The fun, the excitement, it all disappeared. I felt alone. I was unhappy. And yes, I made a mistake, okay? Is that what you want to hear? That you weren't the perfect husband? Something in me snapped. You're blaming me? My voice dropped to a dangerously low tone. I'm just saying, she folded her arms, things weren't perfect between us. I took a step forward, watching her closely. Then why not talk to me? Why not leave? Why not divorce me? My head tilted slightly. Or was it just easier to use me? Let me pay the bills, take care of you, while you went and got your excitement elsewhere. Her mouth opened. Then closed. Opened again. But no words came out. I pressed on. How many? Her brow furrowed. What? How? Many. My voice was steel. How many men, Madison? She hesitated again, just long enough to confirm what I already knew. I pulled out my phone, opened her messages, and read aloud. The other one is busy. Besides, I kind of like this one. The color drained from her face. How many, Madison? I repeated. 3? 5? More. Tears welled in her eyes, but they weren't from guilt. No, now I understood. They were from fear. How did you? Rachel, I interrupted. You should call her, by the way. She's newly single. I smirked. Eric left her. A sharp gasp escaped her as she clapped a hand over her mouth. No. Oh yes, I said, my tone mocking. Turns out he doesn't enjoy being engaged to a liar. She collapsed onto the couch, shaking. But I wasn't done. You don't live here anymore. Her head snapped up. What? I took your name off the lease. You have until the end of the weekend to pack your things and go. Her breathing turned rapid, panicked. You can't just. I can. And I did. For the first time, I saw true understanding in her eyes. The slow, creeping horror as she realized just how deep this went. You don't get to lie your way out of this, I told her. You don't get to manipulate your way back in. It's over, Madison. You're done. Her lips parted as if to protest, but I didn't care. Without another glance, I turned and walked to the bedroom, locking the door behind me. I could hear her crying, wailing, begging. I didn't care. Let her feel it. Let her sit in the ruins of her own making. The following morning, she was still there. The sound of movement stirred me awake, dresser drawers sliding open, hangers clattering, an occasional muffled sob breaking through the silence. Madison was packing. Good. I sat up, dragging a hand across my face. The weight pressing on my chest hadn't lifted, it remained suffocating and heavy. But now, there was something else, a sense of finality. She was leaving. Stretching, I got up and stepped toward the bedroom door. Out in the living room, she was kneeling beside an open suitcase, shoving clothes inside with frantic, trembling hands. Her hair was in disarray, her eyes swollen from crying, and her entire frame shook with unspoken emotion. The second she heard me, her head snapped up. You're really making me go through with this? Her voice was raw, as though she'd spent the entire night crying. Leaning against the doorframe, I crossed my arms. No, Madison. You did this to yourself. Her expression twisted with pain. God, you're so cold. A short, bitter laugh escaped me. Cold? That's ironic coming from you. You didn't hesitate to be cold when you were sneaking around behind my back. Or when you and Rachel were laughing at how easy I was to deceive. Or when you were playing house with other men while I was out working to provide for us. Her jaw tightened. I told you I wasn't happy. And I told you that you could have left, I shot back. But you didn't because you didn't want to lose this. I gestured around the apartment. You wanted it all, the security, the comfort, and your little side adventures. She swallowed hard and looked away. You're enjoying this. You think this is fun for me? My voice was sharp, cutting. You think I wanted to spend my time collecting proof, exposing you, throwing you out of my home? None of this was enjoyable, Madison. But I'm certainly not going to make it easy for you. Her breath caught. She was breaking. Good. Let her feel it. Slowly, she got to her feet, wiping at her eyes before looking straight at me. So this is really the end? I nodded. This is it. She hesitated, stepping forward slightly. Can we at least talk? One last time. I remained still. Talk about what? Her lip quivered as she whispered everything. Us. The good times. Don't you at least want to say goodbye properly? I studied her carefully, waiting for whatever trick she was trying to pull. And then I noticed her hands. They were bare. The ring was gone. A tightness formed in my chest, but I pushed it down. There's nothing left to say, Madison. She sniffled and lowered her gaze. You really hate me, don't you? I exhaled slowly. No. Her head lifted, startled. I don't hate you, I said evenly. Because hate would mean I still care. And with that I turned and walked away, letting her sit with that. I stayed in my room as she continued packing. I could hear her moving around, zippers closing, the occasional pause as if she were waiting for me to step out and stop her. I didn't. At one point she picked up her phone. Rachel, she stopped abruptly. A long pause followed, then her voice, trembling. What do you mean you're not answering my calls? I smirked. Of course. Rachel must have realized that her own life was crumbling just as fast as Madison's. Eric was gone. Her engagement shattered. Her lies exposed. The last thing she needed was to deal with Madison's problems on top of her own. Rachel, please, Madison pleaded. I need help. Another silence stretched. Then, with a defeated sigh, she muttered, fine. Forget it. She hung up, let out a frustrated noise, and threw her phone onto the couch. Good. Let her know what it felt like to be abandoned. I waited another 30 minutes before finally stepping out. The apartment was in complete disarray, open suitcases, half-packed bags, a scattered pile of shoes she hadn't figured out how to fit inside. Madison sat on the edge of the couch, her elbows resting on her knees, eyes fixed on the floor. The moment she heard me, she looked up. You waited, she said bitterly. For what? For me to do this alone. To struggle. To break down before you finally decided to come out here. I raised an eyebrow. If you're trying to make me feel guilty, don't waste your time. It won't work. She let out a sharp breath, shaking her head. You really don't care, do you? I shrugged. You taught me well. Her expression twisted. You're enjoying this. You say you're not, but I know you. Madison, I cut her off, my voice firm. You're still doing it. Still trying to manipulate me. Still pretending to be the victim. But you're not. You did this. I motioned toward her bags. You don't get to cry now. Her eyes burned with frustration, anger, and a deep sense of loss. I didn't think it would end like this, she whispered. I scoffed. And how exactly did you think it would end? She hesitated. I thought maybe we'd work through it. A short, bitter laugh escaped me. Work through it? Work through the months of lying? The multiple men? The way you and Rachel made a joke out of me while I was working nonstop to support this marriage. She flinched. People forgive, she said weakly. Not me. Her breath hitched, and I could see the exact moment when it finally sank in. There was no coming back from this. No fixing it. She wiped at her face, straightened up, and gave me a cold, distant look. Fine. But one day you'll look back and realize you threw away something real. For the first time in weeks, I smiled. A real, genuine smile. Oh, I already did. And the second I saw that video, I realized something. Her brows knit together in a tense expression. I didn't lose you, I told her. I chose to let you go. Without another word, I grabbed my keys, stepped out the door, and walked away. But I didn't go far. Instead, I settled into my car, parked just a short distance down the street, and waited. I wanted to witness it, the final moment, the last time she would ever leave my home. It took 20 minutes. Then, at last, the front door swung open. Madison emerged, dragging her suitcases behind her. Her posture was rigid, her shoulders slumped in a way that made her look smaller than I'd ever seen her. She glanced around, scanning the street as if expecting someone to appear to rescue her. But no one came. She hesitated before pulling out her phone. I watched as she brought it to her ear, her lips pressing into a thin line. She tried Rachel first. No answer. Then she called him, the man from the video. Still nothing. That was the moment it hit her. I could see it in the way her body tensed, in the way her fingers trembled against the phone. Her sister? Gone. Her fiancé? Gone. Every person she had betrayed me with? Gone. She was truly alone. For the first time since this all began, she looked fragile. Defeated. She sank onto the curb, lowering her head into her hands, remaining like that for a long while. She had played her game, stacked the odds in her favor, and yet, in the end, she had lost everything. I released a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. And then, finally, I drove away. I didn't cry. I had expected to. Thought that once the rush of adrenaline faded, the weight of it all would settle over me, leaving me hollow. But that never happened. Instead, as I navigated through the city, my windows rolled down, the crisp night air brushing against my skin, I felt something else. Freedom. For the first time in years, I felt lighter, unburdened. There were no more doubts, no more nagging thoughts of inadequacy, no more questioning whether every touch, every kiss, every whispered, "I love you," had been real. Because now I knew the truth, and for the first time in a long time I was finally done.